Good morning, Prepper Nation. John here. Another beautiful rainy day. Let me get this thing situated here. All right, there we go. I love the rain. It's my favorite weather. Tell you straight up. We're going to talk about today how to deal with non-preppers like significant others, family members. I've had this question several times over the past couple of weeks. I've been meaning to get to it, and I just have not had the time. So we're going to get to it today. Before we do, got a few people to thank, as always. Elizabeth, Selena, Tina, Matt, Vinny, Tanya, thank you for joining Patreon. For $1 a month, you can become a patron. The link is below. I actually have a post scheduled here in a little while over on Patreon, so I do appreciate that. And Fulvio, thank you for the coffee. I'll partake in a little bit of coffee after this video and try and warm myself up. All right, so let's talk about people in our family or spouses, things like that, significant others, maybe kids or grandkids who just don't understand the concept of prepping. First of all, you're not crazy. You're the sane one in this conversation. Especially here in 2020, it blows my mind, it baffles me that there are people out there who have not picked up on prepping yet. Now, again, maybe that's the prepper in me, but look at 2020, guys. I mean, look at this. You know, from the masks to the COVID lockdowns, the supply chain breakdown. I keep hearing from patrons and also people on YouTube that are over in Australia. They're telling me that the food is scarce, and in some parts of Australia, they're not allowing people to buy food. I mean, that's a scary, scary thought, folks. So, you know, what's the harm in prepping? Now, I understand the monetary aspect of it, and let me tell you a story, okay? So here's the deal. My wife has not always been on board with prepping. God love her. She's not really ever been opposed to me prepping. It's been more of a, oh my God, you're so silly, but yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Until the COVID lockdowns. I got on prepping, it was, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago. We had a tornado here locally. And from that point on, that was a huge wake up for me. And I started the whole prepping deal. I had a couple of friends who, I'm not going to lie, I thought they were crazy. They were preppers and I didn't understand it. But after this tornado, oh wow, let's see here. Is that better? All right. So after this tornado, it was an eye-opener. And so I asked a bunch of questions. I got some magazines from them. I discovered prepping on YouTube and things like that, and I just did my own homework from that point on. But again, my wife wasn't on board from the beginning. It took the COVID-19 lockdowns for her to finally realize there's something to this prepping. So during the lockdowns, things got really scarce and panicky here locally. And I can remember her coming to me, and this was like her, I guess, her coming out party as a prepper. She came to me and she was like, John, I need you to make me a list of the things that I need to pick up at the grocery store because I don't know what to get, and it's getting scary. You know, she had went into a Walmart here locally, and she said it was just like almost apocalyptic. And so I made her a list, and then I also went in and I targeted other things. And for example, we saw alcohol, bottled alcohol. And she's like, do I need to pick up 1 or 2? I said, you need to pick up 9 or 10 because this is not going to be here next week. And at that point, she understood, okay, he knows what he's doing here. I'm going to pick up 9 or 10. People in the line thought we were crazy or whatever. And then, sure enough, next week, it was gone. So, how do you deal with people in your family or significant others? You let it run its course. Don't force it on anybody. But as a prepper, you need to take care of business. You need to handle your business. What is it with these trains, man? I'm pretty far back. I don't understand why I'm hearing these things. They're usually once a week. Handle your business as a prepper. Now, if it's a money issue, okay, again, I get that. I get it. But there are other things that you can do. You can learn skills, which I would personally say are just as important as gear. A lot of people here on YouTube, a lot of channels here on YouTube will try and sell you very expensive gear. And it's either because they get a kickback from this gear or they're selling it themselves. Remember the whole video, the snake oil salesman? Yeah, I'm not that guy. I would personally rather have the skills to do something than the fancy gear. I would rather have the cheap gear and the skills. I would rather want to know how to build a fire or build a proper shelter, especially when it's raining like this. You know, there we go again. I don't know. Maybe they just like Prepper Nation. But, yeah, anyway, I mean, you don't need to spend a whole lot of money to get started with prepping. So if you're brand new, don't worry about that. Now, if you have the money to spend, right, if you're just sitting on, you know, if you're just sitting on a boatload of money, like Warren Buffett, the country song says, sitting on a pile like Warren Buffett. Yeah. Then immediately, I would go after a bunch of freeze-dried food. I would go after a solar generator, a very good firearm, things of this nature. There's nothing wrong with having money and getting the expensive gear, but you're also going to need the skills. So even if your spouse or your family's not on board, I encourage you to learn a few skills. Learn how to sew. You know, maybe research, man, more water. Maybe research first aid, things like this, stuff that you would need to know because it's invaluable. Buy books on the stuff. Don't just look at, are you kidding me? Don't just look at YouTube. Buy books, buy manuals on this stuff. They're out there. I don't know for how much longer, but they are out there. And as I said before, go camping. Go camping for a half a week or a week. Totally primitive. I'm not talking about glamping. I know that there are probably some fans of glamping on here. I'm talking about take a rucksack filled with supplies out. See how long you can make it. See what you should have brought along and what you shouldn't have brought along. Trial and error. You know, just stuff like that. And I told these people that emailed me over on Patreon, I told them, I said, look, explain to your family. The number one tip that I can give you other than learning skills, explain to your family that food, the cost of food is going way up. You would have to be Stevie Wonder not to see that at this point. So it's going up exponentially. So it's better to go ahead and buy in bulk now when it's cheaper. Most people, even non-preppers, understand money. They get serious about it. Explain to these folks that you're going to save money, lots of it, by stockpiling now. Even though the prepper inside of you understands the stuff might not even be there later, but explain it in terms of money. And if that doesn't work, I actually had someone say, well, that, you know, that doesn't work. My family doesn't understand that. Well, explain to them that you're trying to eat healthier, right? You're trading in the fast food, you're trading in the microwave dinners for beans and rice, and then stockpile the beans and rice. As a prepper, that's a good way to prep. Look, honey's better for you than sugar. Go ahead and stockpile honey. Let them know I'm eating healthier, man. Worst case scenario, you're going to have to eat the stuff you're going to end up being healthier, right? Best case scenario, the country runs out of food and you're stockpiled, so you're good to go. But that's my tips on this. And what's going to happen, folks, especially with the food, is all of these people that doubted you, when the food runs out, they're going to turn to you. They're not going to be mentally ready for what's coming. And they're definitely not going to be prepared physically. And so you need to be, folks, I encourage you, be mentally ready for what's coming. Okay, because 2021, I do believe, is going to be much worse than this year, unfortunately. Be physically ready. Have your preps in order. Have everything ready to go. And then that way, when they turn to you and they realize, okay, this person's not crazy, I'm crazy for not listening to this whole prepping deal. When they turn to you, now you're going to be the expert. Now you're going to know all of the skills that go, well, not all of them, but a lot of them that are necessary, right? You're going to know maybe how to can or how to dehydrate, things like this. You know, just learn as much as you can, absorb it now. This is the quiet before the storm, unless we're talking about rain, right? It's the quiet before the storm, all right, the calm. When the world wakes up, when the average Joe wakes up, our time to prep is over. The rush is on. It's going to be like the running of the bulls at that point, okay? So right now, while it's kind of sort of calm, for most of you at least, some of you have already reported shortages. For most of you, it's still calm. Use the time wisely. Again, to recap, learn skills if you're on an extreme budget. If you have an extreme amount of expendable cash, freeze-dried foods. Mountain House, Augustin Farms, Legacy. Help me out here, folks. You know, there are dozens of companies, and they're all good for the most part. So if you have the cash, go after that. If you don't, learn the skills and get the very basics. Even if you're able to stockpile, excuse me there, even if you're able to stockpile 3 months worth of food, you're going to be better off than most people once the rush begins. So anyway, I'm going to go inside and get dry before I catch pneumonia. This is dedication, folks, right? This is dedication. It's pouring outside. I appreciate all of the support via PayPal for the coffee and things like that. I actually bought a banging new coffee mug, and I'll show that maybe on the next video. It's Back to the Future. Yeah. Wish I could go back to, 2019. I appreciate all the support on Patreon. And folks, if you haven't joined, that's okay. If you can't afford it, it's cool. But I would at the very least ask you to please like and subscribe to the channel. That also helps. Some of the money that's made here is going to be going to charity. I'm going to be talking about that over on Patreon later this week. But anyway, God bless each and every one of you. And if you have a question, don't hesitate to reach out to me. The email is easy to find over on YouTube, folks. And have a blessed and dry day.